A very credible insider is talking about the big AAA game partnerships that Xbox is making for this generation, and it's got me incredibly excited. There's so much here to talk about, so let's get into it. What is going on, everybody? It's Randall419, the man with the million, back again with another video. I hope everyone's having an incredible day, and if you guys can do me a huge favor, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and please hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Thank you so much for checking out the video. I think this generation we are going to see an Xbox that is unleashed, an Xbox that is fully supported by Microsoft, and that might actually scare a few people. Now, I've been on record saying that I think Xbox is going to kill it this generation. I've never been more excited. I think this is going to be the best Xbox generation ever. Better than the OG Xbox era, better than the Xbox 360 era, which I think currently is the best, and certainly better than the Xbox One generation. And most of my thinking revolves around how Microsoft looks at Xbox as a gaming machine instead of that living room gimmick that they position the Xbox One as with the addition of Kinect. It's all about games. It's all about exclusive titles. It's all about playing them wherever you want, and it's all about playing them pretty much for free. Last generation, you have 5 studios. This generation, you have 23 creative studios with probably 35 different teams, all making different types of games that will be coming out between 2022 to 2025, 2026, and all of those games are going to be available wherever you want to play, whether it's on the console, the PC, mobile, and maybe even one day on a Nintendo Switch. And the best thing about that is they're going to be quality games, and they're going to be given away in a subscription, so you can access them wherever you want for a very cheap price. So as most of you know, I've talked extensively about these studio acquisitions and how they're going to help out Xbox in the near future as well in the long term, and I am so incredibly excited to finally be able to play Hellblade 2, Perfect Dark, Fable, and all those titles whenever they do release. One of the things nobody really talks about in the media is Xbox Global Publishing and how Microsoft is pursuing some deals with independent developers to make exclusive games for Xbox. And I know your first thought is, man, Xbox Global Publishing, they put out small titles like Ori, even though that's one of the best games of the generation, and Battletoads. I really didn't get an Xbox to get this small AA content. I want big AAA games from Xbox. And I'm here to tell you, according to my buddy Jez Corden, who has some leaks regarding what Xbox Global Publishing is doing, and he says some of the games that he personally knows of are of the big AAA variety, like the Rise Son of Rome's or the Sunset Overdrives from the Xbox One era. So not only are we going to see games from the 15 internal studios that make up Xbox Game Studios run by Matt Booty, but we're also going to see exclusives and games from the 8 studios that make up Bethesda Zenimax. That's 23 different studios making games strictly for Xbox PC and Game Pass. And that's not even the tip of the iceberg, because Microsoft has deals with some second parties for big AAA exclusives that will be coming as part of Xbox Global Publishing. When all this stuff gets rolling, when those 15 Xbox Game Studios and the Bethesda teams really start cranking out the titles, plus these games from Global Publishing all start to hit, we are going to be swimming in games. I think this is an incredibly exciting time to be an Xbox fan, and I'm going to include here the conversation Jez Corden and myself had on the Xbox 2 this past weekend that talked about these Xbox Global Partnership deals that Jez says aren't like Battletoads. These are big, big games. So please enjoy this conversation between me and Jez about how excited we are for Xbox this generation. Lead in to your tweet, Jez, that you put out the other day about not counting out Xbox Global Publishing. What exactly did you let me see if I can find your tweet. Do you remember what you tweeted? Because people asked me, people were DMing me like, Rand, what is Jez talking about here? And I'm just like, ooh, you know, Jez knows things. Jez has leaks and stuff like that. Maybe he knows what Global Publishing's doing. Did you delete your tweet? Or do you just tweet?
No, I didn't delete my tweet, no.
Do you know where? Oh, here it is. So Jez, a couple days ago, tweeted out, don't count out Xbox Global Publishing either. Eye emoji. Some really interesting partnerships in the works. Cyclone emoji. What are you teasing here, Jez? Tell the people who are listening to the show, tell the people who asked me on the Xbox Era Discord, what is going on with Xbox Global Pub? We know one game, As Dust Falls. We don't know any others, but it definitely seems like you do. So what can you say about it?
Maybe. Man, I'm not gonna leak the game because it's not fair to the team, and also it spoils a cool announcement, right? You don't want to hear about this game on some random podcast. You want to see it in a game trailer or whatever. That's my my philosophy with regards to game leaks. It's not fair on the team, but I will say that some of the things that I've seen from Xbox Global Publishing recently, some of the things they're working on, are really ambitious and really exciting. Some of these things are they're in very very early stage. I'm talking prototype development stage, and but they are big games. They're not like I'm not when we talk about global publishing, some people think Battletoads, right? I'm not talking about small games, although I'm sure there are some small games too. But that tweet specifically was referring to big games, big, impressive sounding games that are coming through global publishing partnerships. So I am pretty excited, and I hope that they do come to fruition. And when they do come to fruition, I'll explain what the emoji means. But no, it doesn't mean Ubisoft, and it doesn't mean Dreamcast.
Yeah, people were like, "Oh my God, Jez is confirming Splinter Cell with Ubisoft or Dreamcast backwards compatibility." Like I saw those things, and I was just like, "No." Like you even said to like Alan Walsh, you're like, bookmark this tweet, you know?
Yeah.
About
I'll explain what the emoji means when the game's actually announced. But it's just exciting. It's just exciting. There's a lot of cool stuff. I actually don't know if some of these games will be announced this year because they're quite far out. But when it is announced, I will explain what the hell that emoji means. That's what that is all about. But yeah, there's cool stuff coming. And Microsoft isn't resting on its laurels. Microsoft's making plans that are like 3, 4, even 5 years out. And it's exciting. It's exciting to be on this platform right now.
Yeah,
and all this stuff presumably is going to come to Game Pass day one. So even though they're big games, they're going to be like big games you can get for free in the service, quote unquote free. For your monthly subscription.
A lot of people have this misconception about global publishing that they only do smaller titles like your Battletoads, which we might be getting a Battletoads 2, Jez. I don't know if you saw Delilah was posting up new job listings for working on a beloved established IP. So it's possible they could be doing Battletoads 2, but Global Publishing is also responsible for stuff like Sunset Overdrive and Rise, Son of Rome. I'm trying to even think like some of the other Crackdowns. Like they have their hands in a lot of pies, right? But stuff you're referring to is more of the Rise, Son of Rome, Sunset Overdrive variety, rather than the smaller stuff, like big AAA games. Now, there are some questions in chat.
Overdrive's a good comparison.
We have some questions in chat. Someone says, Athiel says, Jez, can you at least tell us the genre of the game?
Well, which one?
Which one is true?
No, I won't. I'll explain when it's revealed.
Yeah.
Just...
What? Okay, so someone else asked, when do you expect these things to be revealed? Is there any chance we go into E3 this year and one of these games is revealed? How close are they, do you think?
I think one of them could be revealed this year, but I'm also not sure because, we're talking very early stages, some of these projects, but at least one of them has been in development for a while. So possibly, maybe. But at the same time, it's kind of like Microsoft's going to have so much stuff to announce. It's potentially, if it's a game that's launching maybe later next year, maybe they save it for next year's E3, It depends on how much stuff they've got to pack into this year's E3, I guess. But I also don't know 100% the launch timeframes of some of these projects. But, I will say that, it took me from being sort of lukewarm about, what was coming in the near future to being quite excited about what's coming in the near future, put it that way.
Yeah, because you were pretty, you wrote that article where you're like, you did. And
I wrote a really negative article where I was like, Microsoft Game Studios needs to do better. And then like I see, and then like literally a few weeks later, I see some of the projects they're working on. I'm like, wow, that article looks kind of dumb now and short-sighted. But you know, but you know, it just goes to show that there's always like things people don't know about. But at the same time, these games could end up scalebounded, you know, for whatever reason. So
we don't.
That's why it's another reason not fair to leak it, because it puts pressure on the teams that are working on it. It puts pressure on to deliver something. And Microsoft's definitely learned its lesson when it comes to announcing things too early. So I don't want to screw up that lesson by being a dick and leaking it just so I can get some traffic on a website. But I just say I'm excited. And
have you ever been this excited for Xbox since you've been covering it? Is this the most excited you've ever been with how everything's going, the deals from Global Publishing that you know of, the 23 studios that they have, including Bethesda, the Game Pass stuff, and how that's progressing?
It feels like not only has a corner been turned, like we've started progressing down that corner now. It feels like the Xbox One horrible launch is becoming a distant memory. There's so much cool stuff on the horizon, so much stuff we don't even know about really yet. Game Pass is delivering a tremendous amount of value while we wait for those exclusives. So it's exciting, you know. And Microsoft is at the forefront of like new markets with cloud and touch controls for console games and like all the technology stuff that I'm interested in, you know, the platform stuff. It's a really exciting time for Xbox right now. And this is kind of like, it feels like this is what Xbox is unleashed when it's not shackled below the Windows division, when it's not like, oh, there's Xbox and then there's another, you know, manager and then there's Windows and then there's a senior leadership team. This is like Xbox and gaming unleashed. This is gaming as part of Microsoft's core business. You know, the fact that it supplements Azure with its services and like probably going to see the id Tech engine get developed more, and maybe we'll see the id Tech engine become the standard for Microsoft's core studios. I don't know. You know, id Tech could be integrated more deeply into DirectX, and which could be integrated even more deeply into Xbox. There's so many different things going on at Xbox right now. It's really hard to keep up. So there's going to be like constant non-stop news to cover. She's like goes back to what you were saying at the start of the podcast, like when we were thinking like, man, how are we going to find things to talk about every week? Like Microsoft's been killing it lately. They've been absolutely killing it. And you've seen it reflected in the media. I've seen positive articles from Forbes and Kotaku about Xbox recently, which is something that just did not happen last year.
Yeah, it is very, very interesting. Now, I've been rocking saying this is going to be Xbox's best gen. I've never been more excited. And like when you look at like the media, you could like everybody piled on Xbox, and rightfully so, for a lot of the mistakes they made with the Xbox One, the DRM, used games, always online, especially in contrast to what Sony was doing, right? So a lot of people just made fun of them. And, you know, they had a lack of content right when Sony was having their best years. You know, 2017, you know, Halo Wars 2, and you launch only with Super Lucky's Tale on your brand new Xbox, right? Right at the same year, Sony is putting out like Horizon Zero Dawn, and they have exclusive Japanese games like, you know, Nier Automata and Neo and Persona 5. It just looks bad. And then, you know, Sony comes out with the 2018 with like the God of Wars and the Spider-Mans and Shadow Colossuses, compared to Xbox's like low rated at the time Sea of Thieves, even though Sea of Thieves has come on to be a huge success, over 20 million users. PUBG. You know, State of Decay 2. You ended up being right on that. State of Decay 2. You took a little heat from that when you originally put it out. But a lot of media outlets, obviously, they go with the flow. They see where the clicks are. And it was all about PlayStation for those years. So they served the PlayStation audience, and people felt really good about it. But then something interesting happened. You know, Xbox invested. They bought some studios. They purchased Bethesda. They have some really nice quality of life improvements on the system with quick resume and smart delivery and all these different things, where PlayStation opted not to have those. So people who were switching generations were like, everything seems a little bit more easier on Xbox. And, oh my God, Game Pass is amazing. You have all this stuff. Now you see videos from GameSpot I watched the other day about how this guy never really identified with Xbox or played because of the whole bro culture, but now he plays Xbox more. You see Tom's guy talking about how he plays on his Series X more than PS5. Kotaku's writing articles. Paul Tassi has switched over. Like, it's just this swell of positive momentum about the things Xbox has kind of been laying the groundwork on since 2017. And then finally, you see the picture start to develop. And a lot of people in the media are like, oh yeah, this, a lot of people in the media necessarily aren't the brightest, as we've seen. But I think now you start to see everything come together and you're like, oh yeah, I can see what Microsoft is going for. So it's definitely a turn. Like, this is something I don't know, you couldn't really imagine last gen, like, these outlets talking very good about Xbox in that manner. And now it's like almost every week there's some article from some website being like, I have both and I'm playing on my Xbox and I'm not turning on my PlayStation 5. So if that really does continue, if Xbox continues to make big announcements, whether or not it's, Game Pass deals like Resident Evil 8 or Battlefield 6, and, we're going to talk about this in a second, Kojima, like if they show off a Kojima game at E3, like E3 is going to be important. Like, I don't think people are going to be like, all right, you can show us CGI trailers again and we'll be perfectly happy. Like, Xbox is going to be like, all right, here's gameplay for games and here's release windows for these games. Because they announced them last year and people are like, okay, Xbox has got stuff coming. But now it's like, okay, we want to see how these games work and how they play and when they're coming out. And if they can hit all these notes correctly, and it definitely seems like they have been this year, outside of like the whole, hey, we're going to double the price of Xbox Live fiasco, it definitely seems that Microsoft is like on the right path. And let's cross our fingers and hope they don't fall over and smack themselves in the face on the ground that sometimes Xbox has been known to do. They have like own self goals sometimes, but it's a super exciting time to be an Xbox fan, to be an Xbox creator. Like, it's just awesome. Like, everything is just kind of turning out like way better than I expected it to be realistically. So let's see, we've got some